Is your team ready to soar to new heights? At CTL Africa Leadership, we specialize in transforming potential into performance. Whether it's mastering winning with people, enhancing emotional intelligence, decoding human behavior, or strengthening team leadership, we've got you covered. Dive into personal leadership and elevate your corporate governance standards. Our tailor-made programs are designed to unlock your team's full potential. Don't settle for ordinary. Be extraordinary. Book a discovery call with CTL Africa today, and let's design a development program that transforms your team. Visit our website www.ctlafricaleadership.com. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you all, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to the Leadership Platform. This is episode 190. Wow, we thank God for bringing us this far. I want to welcome everybody joining us from across the world. Please feel free to introduce yourself with the chat feature. Let us know your name, where you're connecting with us from. And then most importantly, would love for you to share this broadcast with your network. Let them know that we are on. And today's going to be another amazing learning opportunity. We're going to be reviewing a book. We have the Leaders and Readers episode. So TLP is powered by CTL Africa Leadership. We have a mandate of bridging the gap between leadership and personal growth development in Africa. And we've been doing this for quite a while, and we're glad to have you on the journey with us. My name is Joy Bosushmut, and you know this is one of our favorite time of the week where we get to connect with you across the world. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Just feel free, put your name and where you are connecting with us from in the chat. So tonight we're going to be reviewing a book. This is, for me, this is a book that I first chanced on somewhere in 2016. And this was a gift from my company to me. The whole organization, the company distributed this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. This book was shared across the organization. And I remember conversations ahead of this was that, you know, you could do amazing things for your staff. You could put the best processes, you can increase their bonuses, you can do all sorts of things for your employees. But if they are not empowered to manage their personal finances, they'll come back asking for more. They'll come back with wellness issues because of financial problems. So the company took it upon itself to organize financial literacy sessions. And in addition to that, they added this book to it. So this is the second time I'm reading it. And today myself and Mr. Ayim are going to be reviewing the book together. Okay, so The Richest Man in Babylon. If you have read it, please let us know in the chat. And we'll be glad to know that, yes, a few people have picked up some lessons along the way. All right. So we're going to go right into it. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channels on Facebook and YouTube, and then we'll be happy to have you connecting to us this evening. All right, so I'm going to bring Uncle Sam on board, and then we're going to just get into the conversation of The Richest Man in Babylon. But just before that, very quick announcement. So we are wrapping up the year, and as you all know, we have our very last cohort of the Growth Journey. Growth Journey is a leadership accelerator for personal growth. If you want to learn how to chart your own personal growth, how to craft a plan for yourself, this is an avenue for you to join a cohort of leaders across different industries. We've run 9 cohorts. 9 cohorts. We have over 80 alumni who have benefited from this session. So we're running the very last cohort, and hopefully this week we would be closing the slot. So please feel free to sign up right after this session, and we'll be happy to have you on the growth journey. All right. So good evening. Hi, Uncle Sam. Welcome.
Thank you, Joy, and thank you to the team. Thank you, Sarah. We know you are there, so we'll
Yeah.
bring you in, and you share some of your ideas also. But Joy, thank you so much, and thank everybody who is connecting. Please introduce yourself. Let us know where you are connecting from, so we would be
Yeah.
happy to. We'll be happy to announce you to the whole wide world, because this evening is going to be exciting. Enjoy. This is an interesting book,
Yes. Yes.
and we are going to look at a few things. We're going to talk about the author. We'll talk briefly about the book.
Mhm.
Then we will look at some of the principles. Actually, we encourage you to read the book. So we are just going to share our learnings. But when you
Yeah.
go into the book and you read it, you will get a bit more meat, a bit more information, and the storylines and
Mm.
behind the lessons that we are going to share are powerful. So we encourage you,
Yeah.
if you're with us, to go read this book. So this is a brief outline. We will, after looking at a quick summary of the book, we are going to look at what the author calls the 7 cures of healing your empty purse, which is poverty. All right.
Yeah.
Then the 5 laws of keeping your wealth. Now, you don't just kill your poverty, but you have to make the money. And then how do you make that money? So just
Yeah.
not being poor is not enough. You have to be rich. Okay. So there are many of us who are probably not poor, but we're also not rich. And we're going to look at that. And then we will summarize our own lessons from the book. We selected
Yeah.
about 9 of them, but I'm sure once you read it, you will pick your own lessons. And as we go along, you will see that even in the 9, there are so many aspects. So that is what we are going to do about that. Joy, why don't you kick a start with who wrote this book and who is this person? Okay.
Yes. So, like most of you may have seen from the cover page, this is this is a book that has been written. As a matter of fact, it was a series of pamphlets. He didn't launch out to write a book. So this is
Mhm.
George. It's actually is George Clason, George Samuel Clason, who wrote The Richest Man in Babylon. So it was a series of pamphlets that they just string together because he had been writing on this subject. Um, some people say it is a parable of the story is a parable that was situated in the setting of ancient Babylon. So, I mean, the richest man in Babylon. Very interesting. So, he's an American author, a businessman, and then between 1874, 1957, that's how when he lived. And then the book was first published in 1927. So this is a century old book, a century old book. Yes. So that's about a bit about the author, George Samuel Clason, the author of Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes, and I mean, George had just come back from
Hmm.
from the war. He was a military man, and he came back and he saw some of the devastation and the poverty, and he started investigating as to how come some people are so poor and others are so rich. And
Yeah.
he set himself to study also the story of Babylon, and that is where the title also came from. He found that ancient Babylon had some great stories about some rich people, because Babylon didn't have enough resources. They just have bare land for farming and some water. The ancient Babylon, which today is actually situated in modern Iraq, somewhere around Baghdad, that's where Babylon was situated. And they didn't have much natural resources. But these people had built an empire that was controlling the whole world. They had built, cities, they had walls that, according to ancient history and archaeologists, the walls were so high that it would be like 15-story building office block today. And on the wall, you could run about 9 horses on the wall, on the breadth of the wall. Everybody was going to Babylon to find out and to get resources. And so he began to study Babylon and try to understand what is it that made this ancient story. And when they dug into all the history, they found that there were some principles that the Babylonians, the majority of them, lived, and they had stories to support this principles. And that is what where George started bringing out some of these principles and the stories to illustrate and to educate all of us in modern day how we can also build wealth, sustain it over a period of time. Joy.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of, if you look at the financial books that have been published, the modern finance books, this year we've also read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A number of them in the modern writings, you can see that they trace a lot of the lessons from the fundamentals of The Richest Man in Babylon. If you look at the classic Rich Dad Poor Dad, I could now understand where some of the lessons were coming from. So this is, like you said, he was studying a system, that had become a very powerful system, and then people were, going there to learn how to, what were the merchants and all of those big businessmen in the world. Yes. So we'll move on to about the book. Like I said, it's a classic on personal finance and wealth building. And they use the stories. You hear names like Kobbi, you hear names like Akkad. These were people that were set up in this ancient Babylon to teach us the timeless principles. And we are going to go into the principles in much detail, but it talks about saving, investing, avoiding debt, living within your means. And I think it's a very simple read. It didn't have complicated language. It didn't have words that you couldn't really get through. So I really liked the style. It was quite simple, and the storytelling format also made it very easy to read.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Joy. And it's very, 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 very interesting. You mentioned some of the characters, you have within the characters, some of them who are very rich. You have Akkad, who has become very rich. Then you had a musician and a chariot builder who would be working so hard and who was not rich. Then you had Akkad's son, okay, that he was going to train. So you have characters which represent us in our society. You have some people that are rich. Look around you and ask yourself, who in our country is that rich, Joy? I mean, who would you say in Ghana is very rich in Ghana? Sometimes we don't have the richest like the Nigerians, but at least there are a few of them. Who can you might remember?
I mean, I can think of maybe one icon in the now he has entered into the aviation space. When you hear of names like
Okay.
Magdan, I mean, yes, you can think of this
Yes.
is somebody who is wealthy. Yes, I mean a few names like that. Yeah.
Yes. So
You
in Ghana,
have
probably the people we talk about will be the despites of this world,
the
you
special the
know,
special eyes.
special
Yeah.
eyes and all those people. But even they're not as rich as the people that we're talking about in. And then we find ordinary people who are working every day very hard.
Yeah.
And that is what the book brings out. working hard alone does not make you rich. To become rich, there are some lessons, there are some laws. And let me talk briefly about laws. You see, now, a law like the law of, what do you call it? A law is something that applies to everybody. Okay? It applies in every generation. It applies to every tribe. So you cannot say that, well, some people, these principles that they are teaching, this Babylon, this cannot apply in Ghana. Okay? These laws apply to everybody. If you go against a natural law, what happens is that you break yourself. Okay? So these are principles, these are laws that are timeless. They apply to every generation over every time and every culture and everything. So as you go through this book, don't think that, oh, this is Babylon, it has nothing to do with us, this is ancient history. In Ghana, there, like then we say, Ghana, where they are Juma, Ghana, where they are Juma. No. We are poor because we have, and that's what the book says. We are poor because we have not understood the laws around riches. And if you understand the laws around riches, you would be able to follow them and you will become better. Okay? So as we go on, we'll share a few of our examples within our environment to illustrate some of this. So that's what the book is about.
Yeah, and Sam, maybe you can tell us the story. You're a very good storyteller. So maybe set the seed for the story.
Wow. Now, okay, so this is how the book begins, okay? The two good friends, maybe they were schoolmates, who, one is Basiel, one is Kobbi. One of them is actually a musician, and he has developed and created a lot of instruments, musical instruments that are being used in the country wide. In fact, they have even been used by the king's palace. You know, he's a great musician. Every show they will call him, and he was just good. Then you have his friend Kobbi, who built chariots. And those days, I mean, chariots means he manufactures cars. Okay, he's a car manufacturer because that was the only cars they used. And so he built chariots. And here Basiel goes to Kobbi and say, my friend, can you give me some coins, because I'm broke today. I don't have money to go give to my wife. I don't have chop money for my family. And he says, by you, all these instruments and things you built and you become popular, where is your money? He said, Charlie, it's not easy. Like we say, guys, it's not easy. I've been working hard. I get the money, but I don't know what happens. Now in Ghana, they will probably say that some Umwetia or some dwarfs have blown your palms. And so when the money comes, they disappear. And that is the thing. We mystify some of these things, and we rationalize them, and we say it's witches that are making us not keep money. But this book is going to tell you. So as they were discussing, his friend says, but me too, Charlie, I don't have anything. I said, but what is in your purse? He take his purse and say, look at my purse. There's nothing in it. It's an empty purse. Then he said, but why is it that we always have empty purse? But when we look around, some of our friends, they're really enjoying. Then, as they were discussing, their mind went to one of their classmates who was Akkad. And they said, but Akkad, look at Akkad. I mean, we went to school with him. He was not even that intelligent. When we were in school, we were beating him. But how come he's that rich? Then one of them says, maybe it would be a good idea. We should go and ask him. Because they said, one of them said, Akkad is nice man. He's not like one of those rich people. When they become rich and they see their mates, they will just pass by and, flash water, dirty water on the road on you and pass by. He says the last time, even when he was passing by, he stopped by me. When I was making my chariots, he stopped there and greeted me. So all the people know that me too, I know some rich man in this country. These poor people, sometimes we just are happy, just to have a little crumbs, So, I mean, this is typical typical real life situation. We are happy for a minister to come by to our funeral and come and give some donation, and we are happy. Our school fees has to be paid, and some MP comes around and he's paying, and then we feel big that the MP came around to my house. This is what was happening. But finally, the important thing is that they decided that we will go to Akkad and go and ask him, what is the secret of his riches? Because there must be some secret. Otherwise, he cannot be that rich. So they went to him. And so that's the story. They went to him, and Akkad now sits them down and start to school them as to how money works. And that is where the lessons come. We cannot tell you all the story, but we're going to some of the, the lessons that Akkad shared, and the story of how he even sent his son away to another land so that he can go and learn how to make money, and so on and so forth. Very, very interesting stories in there, Joy. And I think once we begin to pick some of the lessons that he shared, we'll be able to share our lesson.
Yeah. One of the things in the story that fascinated me also was even how he taught the lessons, because I mean, they went to ask him for, how can we make this work for us, or what's working for you? And this guy organized something like a workshop to sit people down and school them on the principles, and that for me also brings to bear that sometimes we need to, sit down and really learn from people that are making it, because it's very important, And there was also one part of the story, I think it will come up in the lesson. So maybe we just start go through the lessons, and then a bit of the story will come through. Yes. So we start with the 7 cures, of poverty.
All right. So this is where it starts, okay? Because the guys were poor, and they went to Akkad and they are asking him, why are we so poor? And how do we deal with it? In fact, in the story, they call it the empty purse. Because in those days, the money was not in the bank. You kept all your money in your purse. They had their typical sacks where they put their money in. In my village, the women had a kind of, fabric tie around their waist, and they sew it in such a way, and they push the money inside, and they will push it inside, and they will tie it around their waist, so they had this kind of, system of keeping their money. And they were asking, how do we deal with this empty purse? Why is it that we have empty purse? So he started teaching them. Let me take the first lesson and then we'll continue. The first one and the most important cure, he says, for emptiness is, if you want your nest to be, your purse not to be empty, you have to start to find a way to make the purse fat. So that's what they call, start by fattening thy purse. Because if you don't learn how to make your purse fat, then the purse will be empty. In other words, the cure for poverty is the creation of wealth. If you don't learn how to create wealth, you won't make it. And he says that the first thing, the starting point for making your purse fat or for creating wealth is savings. And he teaches this in a very, very interesting way. He says that, look, when you get money, how do you pay yourself? He says that, you see, what happens is that when we get money, we begin to pay everybody. We're thinking of paying our rent, paying our electricity bill, paying our whatever, paying our children's school fees, paying these things. And then we say that we would save some only when it is remaining, the rest, the remainder. And when we were in school, we used to have what you call sopi. I don't know if you guys were in the boarding house, when somebody has
Yeah.
finished eating everything, and then the rest they call it soppy.
Okay.
So that is our mentality, is that
Mm.
we will only save money after we've paid all our expenses. Akkad says, that is wrong. You've turned the whole thing upside down. He says, if you want to be rich, any money you get, no matter how small it is, you have to pay yourself first. And by paying yourself first, it means that take a portion of every money you get and put it on the side for you before you pay others. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to move on. So that is savings. And he recommends that every money you get, no matter how small, if you get 100 cedis, if you get 1,000 cedis, if you get 1,000,000 cedis, just put 10% on the side. And that is the seed of filling into your purse. He says, lock it inside your purse. Don't touch it. Because in those days, that's how they saved it. Don't touch it. So that is the first starting point. If you want to cure poverty, everything you get, save 10%. That's his principle. And he says, that is what I did. I can say, this is what I do. Every money I get. And he goes to the story of how he came to learn this lesson. Okay? He came to learn this lesson, and you can read it for yourself. Because of time, we cannot go into it. And he told them how he also, went to somebody who brought in some money, and he taught him how to keep the money. And then he learned that lesson the hard way. So I don't know if, Joy, you have something to add to that before we go to
Yeah.
the second lesson. There's the second
Yeah.
cure.
Yeah.
There's 7 cures for poverty.
Yeah, I mean, just to say that for those who would say that percentages are complicated for them, he would always tell them, for every 10 gold coins, keep one for yourself. So however
Absolutely.
as simple as you can tailor it to yours. I mean, I think that's the simple math that I'll also want to
Absolutely.
add on to that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you're selling yams, if you sell 10 yams, take the money for 1 yam and save it. Like they do the susu these days in the market. That's what they do. They decide that every day I'll put 1 cedi on the side. So just decide, okay, that every day, whatever you're getting, you're putting a certain small amount. It can be a fixed amount on the side. That is your savings. Yes. All right. So apart from that, so if you have 100 or you have 10 and you put 1 on the side, that is your saving. Now, how do you use the 9? And he says that is the second cure for poverty. Controlling your expenditure. How do you spend your money? And Aka says, you see, you people, when you get money, immediately you see some cloth passing, you buy it. And immediately you see there's a funeral. They say they are going to cut cloth. Hey, which you are going? Every wedding that comes, you are going to this thing. And then you are passing by and you are seeing some cake passing. Then you buy it, even though you haven't planned. You've given money already to your wife in the house to cook. Then you go out and you are buying fried rice and so forth. Akkad says, you see, you should be careful how you spend your money. You have to be intentional with your spending. You have to plan what you need. And he talks about distinguishing between what you want and what you need. And I'm sure there's some younger girls on the call, and let me speak to you. A lot of the young girls, they meet the sugar daddies, and the first thing they are asking for is they want an iPhone 15. Or man, now they are 15 or 16 or 17. Which one is the latest?
I'm sure it's 15. I'm sure 15, 16 and 17 are on their way.
On their way. Okay, so you are going to ask for iPhone 15. And iPhone 15 is how much? I don't even know, because I've never used iPhone. I mean, this is something like in the neighborhood of maybe what, 20,000, 15,000? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you are going to ask for that. Then you are going to ask for Brazil hair. Okay? You are going to, and for the men, they want to show off. So they want to go to, the shops with branded names. Now you need a shirt. If you need a shirt, all you need is a nice shirt. And I can tell you my story when I was growing up, because there was no money in the house. I bought all my shirts and my things from the Ofos line, Bend Down Boutique. That's how we call it in Ghana. That's the second-hand clothing. And I'm a specialist in selection, first selection, second selection, third selection. When I go into the Ofos, I know how to select. And I'll select some nice shirts, come home, wash them, and iron them. And when I wear it, my friend are asking, wow, this is a nice shirt. Which shop did you buy it from? I said, shop, I bought it from Bend Down Boutique. Now, your wants and your needs, you need to cover yourself. That's your need. But wanting to have, where's the most expensive shop in town? Some of these boutiques on Oxford Street who are targeting. Look, when I travel, I hardly buy from the airport or from the hotel. If I need to buy something, I would ask people to take me to the market, the Makola market, because the same item in the Makola market is less expensive. I'm just coming. In fact, I've just landed from Abidjan. I've been in Abidjan the whole week, and I needed some shirts. I went to Trashville. It's like the place that I went. It's like your Nima. I was telling the friend who was guiding me. I said, this place is just like the Nima of Ghana. You have all these Muslims with their shops and this, and that's where they are sewing these shirts. In the hotel that I stayed, some of the shirts were displayed. I said, I'm not buying it from this hotel. I will go to where they are sewing it. Managing your expenditure is very, very important. So creating a system where you are not spending on things you don't need. And some of us have bought so many things in our wardrobes that we don't need. We've never used them. We saw it impulsively. Everybody was buying, so you bought it.
Yeah.
They brought it to the office, and they say, "Oh, you can pay it in when the salary comes, you can pay. Then you take it, then you buy it, without any planning and budgeting." So that is the second lesson: controlling your expenditure. Joy, I don't know if I have something to add to that.
Yeah. I mean, there was an interesting image I saw this week about sales. They put a picture of an item. So it was a shoe that was labeled $900, and then they had was it $90, and then nobody was going for it. And then the same $100, they've slashed it, so you have the slash sign, and it's now $90. And just the idea that it's been slashed down, everybody was now going for it. So that is where the traps of your expenditure comes in, with sales, with all of that. You may not need it, just because you see that it has been discounted, you are tempted to go for it. So there's a lot of work that can be done around expenditure. And for me, this year has been one of the biggest years for learning a lot of lessons, both from the Rich Dad, Poor Dad and this book, around expenses and how to plan and budget, for the things you need here. So
yeah. The third cure for poverty or for an empty nest, empty purse, is make thy gold multiply. And this is about investment. You see, the first cure is saving. Saving simply means put some money aside that you're not touching. Now, traditionally, or in our context, you probably will put your money in the bank. So that's savings. But when you look at inflation, if you put 100 cedis in the bank, and inflation today, even that has come down, it went all the way to 50%, 54%. Now it's about 22%, 21%. What that means is that if you put 100 cedis in your savings account, by the end of the year, the value of that 100 cedis has reduced to 79. If inflation is 21, it means 21 cedis of that 100 is gone. That value is gone down. That's what inflation means, simply in local terms. In other words, the things that 100 cedis can buy, you cannot buy again. And last week, I had a very interesting experience. I was going to buy some iron rods for some project that I was doing. So the guy gave me the prices. I think it was 9,000 per something, something, something. So I said, "Oh, I'll send the money," and I forgot to send the money that whole week, and he didn't remind me. Oh, the following week I said, "Oh, did you deliver the item?" He said, "But you didn't send the money." I said, "Oh, didn't I send the money? Okay, let me send it now." He said, "But the price has changed. 1 week,
Wow.
9,000." He says it's now the ton is 9,500. That is 5%. 1 week. I was so pained. Now, if I had paid, I think yesterday, it would have saved 500. But today,
Yeah.
I have to pay for. And that is what happens to your money when you put it in just savings. So the third thing is that don't just put it in the savings, but also invest it in something. Put it somewhere where the money is multiplying. And this is where
100%.
interest come in. And this is where compound interest come in. So when you put your money into the bank, tell them to put it in maybe some treasury bills or some fixed deposit or some other investment account where it is yielding interest. And when they are doing that, tell them they should reinvest the interest. That's where the compounding come in. So
Yes.
you put 100 there and they'll give you 20%. Tell them to reinvest the 20%. So there'll be interest on 120. And the next time they'll invest the 120 with the interest on the 120. And there is a formula for it. You will see that that 100 cities over the next 10 years or so will come to something in the neighborhood of 20,000. But if you just kept the 100 cities there for 10 years, the value will come down, in fact, to zero. It will not be able to buy
Nothing.
anything. So don't just save, but invest. That is the second cure, right? All
Yeah.
right.
And
You can go
I
on.
think
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
on this point there was a portion of the book while he was teaching this principle. I think one of them who was applying it, he got
Yes.
a wrong investor. So he put his money into he entrusted it into someone's hand, and the person was
Yes.
actually not a merchant in real gems or rubies, and so I
Yes.
think that it was just emphasizing on the point that in investing, you also have to invest wisely. Be sure that
Absolutely.
whoever you are, giving your money to or putting into a business, the person is actually an expert or knows the area they are talking about. Not somebody who is a
Absolutely.
food expert and is doing business in gold, and they'll tell you all sorts of stories, and then you end up losing your money. So investing, but investing wisely. Yeah.
Yes. That's the point, that guard thy treasure from loss. That's where he says, understand and manage the risk. The first rule of growing your wealth is not losing it, not losing your money. So make sure that you are putting your money where you are not going to lose it. Don't just go and give your money to anybody. Okay? Don't just follow all the adverts. These days there are a lot of online things. I myself, I lost a lot. I lost a lot of money even in men's gold. I thought I understood it. I looked at it. I looked at the model, and I've gone to check the certificates hang in the wall. But it was so you have to understand what you are investing in. And when I came out, I started doing all sort of businesses. I even went into the clothing business, but I didn't understand the fabrics. I didn't know which fabric does what. I'm not a tailor. So I got somebody to do it who was not also a businessman. I lost some money there. I bought a lot of equipment and machines for him, but the thing was not producing anything. I was hoping he would be able to do it, but I didn't understand the business. I didn't understand the industry and how it worked. So I lost some money there. So guard your money, okay? Put it in places where you understand, where you understand. Then the fifth one is make thy dwelling a profitable investment. Now, it is good to have a house. It is good to have a car. It is good to have what we call assets. And we learned this in Rich Dad Poor Dad. The definition of what an asset is something that brings in money. So if you have a house and it doesn't bring in money, it is not an asset. Now, where we're using for CTL Africa office was supposed to be my house. But because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I decided to live in Bawe. Now, because if I move from Bawe to stay in East Legon, what I'm doing is that I'm living in a house that can give me rent of thousands of dollars. The same house in Bawe, if I had brought it to East Legon, would give me thousands of dollars, but nobody will rent that house in Bawe. So when you are investing when you're building your house, you have to think about it. Maybe when you build one room, then you build one shop in front. And I like those who do that. Because when you make your design, make the design in such a way that there is some stores in front in the building, in the plan, so that you can rent out the shops, or you can use the shops to do something else. Because when you are living in your own house, it is not giving you money. And sometimes it is better that when you've built your house, you rent your house out and go and rent a small place and live there.
Yeah.
Because that will save you money. So he says, make thy dwelling a profitable investment. So wherever you are staying, whatever asset you have, let it be working for you. You have a car. You drive that car, you park it. The whole day you are working, and you drive it back home. You fill the fuel every week. That car is not bringing any money to you. But if you make that car into an Uber or Bolt or something and register it, when you are in the office, you can give it to somebody to be riding that boat for you. And that will make you some money. Okay, the last time I was traveling to Lagos, last 2 weeks ago, I left my car in the airport because I was rushing there. When I came back, I had to pay for parking the car there. I think it was 200 and something for the 3 days I parked there. This time when I was going, I said, no, I'm not driving my car. I just took a boat to the place. And when I came back, I spent more time in Abidjan than in Lagos. When I came back, I just ordered a boat. And the boat took me, I think, 80 cedis and brought me back here. You see, it's cheaper if I had driven my car with the fuel and everything there. In fact, when I came the last time, my battery had run down. So I had to get somebody around that place to come and charge my battery for me. He charged me 100 cedis. Meanwhile, I paid 230 to Ghana Airport for parking my car there. That car is not an asset. It's not making me, it's taking my money away. So that's what it is. That's what he means by make thy dwelling, The next one is ensure your future income. I don't know, maybe Joy, you have something to say about those ones. But this one, ensuring your future income, relates to retirement planning. We need to plan very, very carefully. Your retirement starts from the first day you start working. Okay? And also, you need to ensure. I mean, I had a good friend who had a good restaurant. She didn't insure it. One day she was there, they called her that the place was burning. Everything, gas cooker, microwaves, everything bent to the ground, zero. So little insurance will protect you from that. And there's also life insurance. You can ask the experts for that. Then the seventh cure is increase thy ability to earn. In other words, you don't just focus on one source of income, your salary and your salary alone. No. Expand. They call it multiple sources of income. So you're doing your salary, do a little farm, a little garden, a little maybe bajaji. What do they call it? A tricycle. What do they call it?
Aboboyas and
Aboboya. You can't buy a car now, but maybe you can buy an aboboya, and you can give it to somebody in your area who will go and collect all the rubbish, because everywhere there's debt in Ghana here. Aboboyas, they are making a lot of money. Every day they come here to sit here, they collect, they take 20 cedis for all this thing. So that is money. So that is what it means. And it also means that you have to develop yourself
Yeah.
to be able to earn more. And for those of us who are professionals, um, you have to get certifications in different areas so that you can do more. Don't just be happy with your ACCA or CA and it's done. They have other
Yeah.
things, risk certification, environmental certification, this certification, that certification. Go get additional certification to help you. So those are the 7. Maybe Joy will add something. Otherwise, we'll move on to the laws. And
Yeah,
you will
we
find
can move on. Yeah.
they are all going to the same thing. Okay? The law, the cure is how you deal with poverty. Now, the 5 laws is how you keep your wealth. And here is where Akkad sent his son, because he had a lot of money and he was going to teach his son how he can sustain his wealth after he's dead. Because sometimes, our parents will leave us wealth and we are not able to sustain it. So the 5 laws deal with how you can keep and sustain your wealth. And law number 1 is that gold comes gladly to those who save it. Back to, cure number 1. It's if you're going to sustain it, if your father has left you with wealth, keep it, save it. And some people, the father saved the money for them, and immediately they come, they start chopping it, buying. No. Number 2, God labors diligently for the wise owner. This is what rich dad will say, let your money work for you.
Yeah.
So put your money somewhere that money, when you are sleeping, the money will be working for you. And that is also investment. So when you have wealth, let that money work for you. Don't put it under your bed or like they used to do in the olden days, dig a ground and put it into it. Let the money work for you. Law number 3, God clings to the protection of the cautious owner. And that also deals with careful spending. Okay? You have to be very, very, structured, intentional about your drawing. And also be careful not where you are putting your money. Don't allow yourself to be scammed, as Joy explained. The 4th law is God slips away from unfamiliar ventures. This is very, very important. Every business you invest in, try to understand it. Try to understand it. And once I was in Abidjan, I was discussing with one lady at the hotel what she wanted to do. She said she wanted to sell things in, all the things that the seamstress used to buy, noodles, buttons. So I would say, okay, so how much will you invest in this? She said, mention a certain amount. When you sell it, how much will you get? And she says, well, I don't know yet. I said, do you know some people who do this? I said, yes. He says, yes, in my area, some people. I said, have you talked to them? She says, no. I said, but talk to them because you don't know. Maybe they've made some mistakes
Yeah.
that you, because you don't know, you go and make the same mistake. So you have to be familiar with the venture to be able to properly make money out. And law number 5 is gold flees from impossible schemes. And this is where the scam schemes come in, where they are promising you heaven and earth, they are promising you 500% interest, and so on and so forth. This is where the human side of greed comes in. So this
Yeah.
book is warning you against, venturing into greedy areas. All right. So those are
Yeah.
the 5 laws that we've gone through quickly. If you read them and the stories behind them, they will help you. All right. Okay. So we've looked at how to cure the poverty, and these are the lessons that we are picking from everything we've read, and you can read them and pick your own lessons. Joy, you want to quickly go through some of them?
Yes. Okay, so 9 lessons. I think this is summarizing most of the things that we've shared. So number one, save money. Number two, so it says pay yourself first. As we're saying that instead of paying everything else, pay yourself first, and ideally one gold coin out of 10 or your 10% for yourself. Set it aside as a portion of your income. Then number two, in a way of ensuring that you are controlling your expenditure, make a budget. Create a budget that aligns with your financial goals and have the ability to track it. Know where your money is going into. Sometimes the little mobile money deductions, if you are not careful, if you check your monthly your income statement from your Momo, or I don't know how they call your statement, you'll be able to calculate how much goes just in your transactional charges. So maybe you
Yes.
may at that point need to make a decision that, okay, then instead of paying every little thing one after the other, I may have to do bulk payment, or I may have to say, okay, if it's below 100 CDs, I do it a day at a time so that I don't incur all these extra charges. So budget, and then ensure that you can track your expenses as well. And then, I mean, this point is so important. What you need versus what you want. There's a point. There's a very powerful point in a book that I'm reading, the 365 Days of Self-Discipline. It says that if you can go for what you want now, or what you need in the future, you realize that now you can get what you need. But if you go for what you want now, in the future, you'll not be able to get what you need. Okay, so it talks about delayed gratification, resist impulse buying, redirect funds towards long-term goals. And I'll be happy to hear from our audience any strategies you are using to do this, because this is a global pandemic. Impulse buying. There's a new Netflix series called I think the psychology of buying, and they take us into how all the marketing information out there is designed to get you to buy more. I mean, we are buying more shoes than we need, more clothes than we need, and even for the gadgets. A company like, I mean, you look at all the mobile phones, they've stopped giving you access to the hard drive, the battery, so that once the battery stops working, you discard the whole phone. So these are things that people are using to get people to buy more. So you have to also understand that you're buying and your expenditure pattern as well. So I love to hear what people are doing to also control or resist impulse purchases. And then, of course, continuous learning is going to help us build. We've started this series this year. We've put some more time into our financial literacy, but we need to keep going higher, understanding how to invest through self-education, attending seminars, all those financial knowledge sits at the feet of somebody who has done it before, and just learn how they are doing it. Just one advice can make a world of a difference. So that's number four. Number five, take calculated risk. Mr. Im is the one who's been doing some crazy investments. I'm sure he will have something to say about risk. But some people have very high appetite for risk. They don't care when they hear the percentage, they just dive right into it. But we have to be proactive and then seize opportunities, but then it must be calculated. Let's do number six. Avoid the get rich quick schemes. We've talked about it. Don't be misled by ads claiming that you can become a millionaire or a rich person overnight. Except who wants to be a millionaire? You go and play the game and you can't be a millionaire overnight. But apart from that, anything that is advertising, or they say if it's too good to be true, then it's probably not true. Yes. And then number seven, avoid greed, of course, because somebody has it, you also want to have it and even have it more. It can cloud your judgment and lead you to make unrealistic decisions. So go at your own pace. Be truthful and be honest, and be satisfied with yourself. Not everything you see online or people flashing all these shiny things means that they are doing any better. So I think that we should avoid greed. Number eight, understand the risk of your investment. this is tied to the risk appetite. So for every scheme you're putting your money in, make sure that you are well informed. And if you know that this is something that you don't want to lose, make sure it is in a less risky instrument. I had one very successful banker say something that if you're not prepared to lose all the money, then don't invest in high risk. If it's high risk and you're prepared to lose everything, then you can go for it. But some of us who are calculating our money, we know that we are not prepared to lose everything. So you have to understand the risk. And then number 9, life insurance. Protect yourself with life insurance and early pension planning to ensure future income. Those who have, I mean, those who have 1060 can tell us their experiences so far, just to encourage the young people. Because myself, I remember speaking with my younger sibling, and there's this whole idea that what is with paying SNIT, what is with savings? I mean, that's 10 cities you put down, what will it do for me? There's a lot of new thoughts from the younger generation about saving, investment, because we don't really see how this can eventually become something useful. Because for us, we want to have it big and then have it now. So maybe just any advice on that also for the younger generation.
Yeah, that's very, very important. When I was working, okay, the SNIT contribution was, I think, the employee was contributing 7%, and no, I think it was 5%, and the employer was contributing something in the neighborhood of 10 or 12. I've forgotten.
Yes.
So that brought it to, I think, 15% or something like that. So what I did was I told the HR to double my contribution, as we had one that went to SNIT, and there's a portion that we had a company
Tier 2.
investment scheme. So those contributions, I doubled mine. So at that point, I think a total of 25% of my salary was going into the pensions and the gratuity thing. And I can tell you, I turned 60 just 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. That's what people tell me. All right. When I went to SNIT and checked what they're going to pay me, the lady was like, "Hey, you've done well, oh." Because I had increased that one, and also the second tier, was very good. So we have the first tier, second tier, third tier, which is voluntary.
Yeah.
Please take advantage of those things, because once the money comes into your hand, it's gone. So the way I programmed my mind was this, Joy. I just told myself, I just look at the end of my pay slip. That is my salary. Whatever they are deducting is not part of my this thing. So I operated on that. So look at some of those systems, and we'll bring other people like Susie and others to share. And
Yeah.
there is a book on the laws of wealth, which you want to, I think I must have one on my shelf here. One of these days we'll come and share some of them with you. But these
Yeah.
are our lessons, and we will end here for now. And let's see your comments. Let's see your there are so many interesting quotes, and Joy want to maybe share some of them.
Yeah. Let's see. So we have, let's see. I think we may have swapped this slide.
Okay.
Yeah, we may have swapped the slide, but then there's one of the quotes that I wrote over here. I think that should be on the very last slide. Let me bring this
Yeah.
one up. It says, "Opportunity is a haughty goddess who wastes no time with those who are unprepared."
Yeah.
And this is a very powerful quote that was in the book,
Yeah.
about taking opportunities when they come, because it
Hmm.
doesn't wait for anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good. 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 Um, Maybe we'll bring Joy up. I'm
Yes,
not
Sarah.
seeing any
Sarah,
comment.
Sarah
Looks
is
like
here. Yes.
yes, Sarah.
Can
How are
you hear
you?
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we
All
can
right.
hear you.
So brilliant. Thank you so much for such enriching discussion on the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. And I just want to commend you and Joy for this year, making sure that we are financially literate. First of all, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and this one. So putting it
Mhm.
together for me has been very enriching. And
Yeah.
there was one question I kept asking myself about point number 5 that says that you should get your own your own what do you call it, abode or your own dwelling. And for
Yeah.
me, I
Mm.
compared
Comfortable.
it. Yes, I
Let your
compared
dwelling be an profitable investment.
exactly be an investment, and you live in it. So one way that I have seen some people doing that is having bed and breakfast rooms that they are not using, they are using that as Airbnb for short term. Because in the beginning, I said to myself, I'm living in my house. Yes, I do have extra rooms, but I like my privacy, right? I like
Yeah,
my privacy. So,
yes,
how can I be sharing with someone if the person is living there for a long time? So, if you have short term
yeah,
rentals, that really helps.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
yeah, that is
yeah,
one way that we can go about it. And
absolutely.
therefore, the thing that I did tell myself is you have to look at your
Mhm.
situation, your needs. And you did talk about the needs and the wants. What do I
Mm-hmm,
need right now? And is it a
mm-hmm.
want or a need? Actually, as I'm speaking, I'm in London right now, and I went to some of the shops. It's Black Friday. It was Black Friday,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's so many
This is
things.
the only time that the black is good in in Europe.
And there are things that are very nostalgic. I mean, coming from a British colony that you are now in UK and you want to buy everything. So I
Yeah.
Yeah,
stopped myself. I said, "Do you need this? Is it a want
Mm.
or a need?" Right. So
exactly.
yeah, just buy what you need. It's difficult. It's difficult. There are things that I'm craving for, but I don't need
Mhm.
it. It's been
Yeah,
Yeah.
challenging.
yeah,
So I'm keeping the money in my pocket, trying very hard. It's a real struggle, I must tell you.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
real
Yeah.
struggle.
yeah,
And also
To
getting
yeah,
lock the purse. To lock the
exactly,
purse.
yeah.
exactly. And also getting to Christmas, you have to be buying Christmas presents and so
Yeah.
get buy one, get one free. But do I need
Mm-hmm.
that?
Do you really need that one?
Do I
And
need that?
sometimes you get one free is the one that is attracting you. You see, I'll get two of this. But do you
Exactly.
really need a two?
Yeah. So
Oh,
these are
do
some
you
of the
even need the
comments.
one?
Yeah.
Exactly,
Do you even
exactly.
need the one
Yeah.
before the two?
But
Yeah.
one thing that I picked up actually from the Swiss culture is that when there is sales, what I've
Mm.
seen most Swiss people do, those of us who are foreigners, when there's sales, we just buy everything. Okay. The Swiss people normally they don't shop. They wait until the sales. They know that a year they will need about 10 shirts or whatever. So they
Mm.
wait until the sales and then they buy that at 50% or less. And during
Mm,
the whole year, they don't shop.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
Whilst those of us from other cultures, we just shop when we need it. We don't plan.
But we
So
don't have sales in our culture.
we
When it's
don't
Christmas, we increase the price. When it's Easter, we increase the price.
yeah,
Every time when we increase, we don't bring it down.
exactly. So looking at the
Yeah.
environment in which you live in, also looking at what they
Mm.
do can also help you in your financial literacy and how you adapt. Something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is good. And then, so this is what I want to share. Let's see what we have our viewers in the comments, if there are any comments. I don't want to take all the
I'm
time.
not seeing any comments, or maybe I'm in the wrong page.
No,
Yeah,
no, you're in the
there is
right
no
place.
good.
No comments so far.
Okay.
And I think, Sarah, just to add on to your point around the seasonal purchase, usually I know when it's getting to winter, they discount the summer clothing. And
Exactly.
so people who have planned, they go and then they buy their summer clothing before winter. So
Yeah.
by the time winter is now moving into spring and summer, they already have their clothes ready. So, and
Yes.
even for Christmas, they always advise that you don't buy your Christmas decor when it's Christmas, because of course the prices are higher. But when Christmas is ending and they have to clear the shops, they reduce the
Yeah.
prices so that they can clear it. So you can get that for the following year. So it all boils
Exactly.
down to planning. It all
It's
boils down
planning.
to
It's
planning.
planning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
and I heard you also talk about insurance. Actually,
Yes.
was it last week? I think last Wednesday, we were talking about insurance at BCA Leadership for the coaching industry. Because some of us are coaches, we do say that we are coaches and therefore we don't need insurance, we don't give advice. But the thing, we don't give
Mm,
advice, and therefore we don't need insurance. But we do need, because we do, for example, keep data for our clients, and therefore
yeah.
we need that cyber security insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and not just for your business, but even for your health insurance. In
Mm,
Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
I know some people do have health insurance, others don't, but I believe very much in health insurance because looking at what I have experienced health
mm,
wise, if I didn't have insurance, I wouldn't be alive today. So
Yeah.
for so many years, I didn't have to use the health insurance, but when it came, it was big.
mm,
So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
insurance is
Mm-hmm.
not something that we have to joke with. That's why it's
Negotiate.
called
Yeah.
insurance, because you never know. You
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
never know what will
Mm-hmm.
happen. So a way of doing that. And I'm glad to learn that we do have 3 levels of insurance, which in Switzerland we do have. We do have the compulsory insurance for your, they call it the deuxième pilier, the second pillar, like the pension. And then you do have old age insurance, which is compulsory. So even if you don't want, you pay towards it until you do get you get retired, and then you have the voluntary one that you have to do
Yeah.
insurance. So that we have the three levels insurance. So I'm happy to learn that we have the same in Ghana as well.
mm,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we should have the old age insurance to that, and that will really help.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Great. All
all
right.
right.
So I think
Yeah.
on that note, we'll give it over to you, Joy, to close us
Yes.
out since there's no
Yeah.
comment question. Um,
Yeah.
it's
Nobody
strange.
signed up today. Are they preparing to vote? I guess we're going to the polls.
Maybe they are, yes, people are
Yes.
campaigning.
We're going to the
Uh,
polls next week. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
So next week,
Okay.
we are not having the platform
Yes.
because of election. So
Mhm.
we will take off. I think we will come back on the
On the
14th,
14th. Yeah.
and then we would have our final year-end message on the 21st. And
Yes.
so,
Exactly.
thank you everybody who has been with us throughout this whole journey. And we hope
Yes.
that you are learning. Share the link. We will share the recording. Go to our
Mhm.
YouTube and go back and pick the lessons that are relevant to you. And we
Yeah.
hope that next year we'll be able to bring you even more. So thank you, Joy and the team. Thank you,
Yes.
Sarah, for always being with us and
Thank you.
Yes.
supporting us. We appreciate that so much. I'm happy that
Yeah.
you're in London also because that means that now you can travel around. You can come to Ghana.
Yeah. Let's hope. It's a short trip, so we'll see for the
Yeah.
longer trips. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Good
So we'll just take a quick announcement before we go. We're just launching a survey. We've had a number of episodes this year, so we would ask you to also share your feedback. But then 2025 is coming up. The team is ramping up, preparing something amazing for you for next year. We just want to just keep you informed, get you excited. And 2025, God willing, God give us the health and the grace, would have 4 seasons next year, which consists of about 50 episodes, amazing episodes. You wouldn't want to miss it. And our target is to exponentially increase our viewership. This year, we have crossed over 20,000 views. It's translates into a number of hours that have been watched the whole year. And so we want to just encourage you that we're going to need you to help us increase our viewership by 10 times in the coming year. So we are putting together a very well planned schedule and timetable for you with some amazing learning. So I'm going to share this QR code between this week on the 14th and 21st. We would share this with you. You can use your phone to scan it, and then you would be able to get the link to take this survey. We want everybody who has been on TLP to take this survey. The link is also going to be shared in the comment section, and we want everybody to take this survey. We want to know what we did well. We want to know what we could do better. We also want to know some of the topics and the topics and the books you want us to bring to you next year. So just use this as an opportunity to share your feedback with us. We are not taking any name or email address, so feel free to freely share. The link has also been shared in the comment section. So we'll be rolling this survey out in the next 3 weeks as we wrap up the year, so that we can funnel in all those beautiful learnings into our plan for next year. All right. Thank you all so much. We want to wish you a very good night and hope to see you next 2 weeks, Saturday on the 14th. And as we go to the polls, I know that this is our connected heart desire that we would all exercise our franchise, and then we'll also ensure that there's peace in our motherland, so that we can continue the good work that God has called us to do. So wish you guys a very good night, and then hope to see you next week.
I am winning on all fronts limitlessly.
I have made tremendous improvement at work through delegating and empowering teams.
We started with the law of intentionality, which specifically makes it clear that growth cannot just happen. You have to be intentional about your growth.
CTO Africa Leadership brings you the Grow Journey, a series of masterclasses based on John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. In this 10-week virtual growth accelerator, you will acquire the skills to thrive and flourish as you evolve into a more impactful and fulfilled individual. You will master the art of personal and professional development as you craft and execute your customized growth plan. Limited seats available. Register now for the next cohort.
Hey there, join the next cohort of CTL Ghana's growth journey.
The next cohort is coming on. Get involved and your life will never